All right, so sorry about that. Missed, I guess the battery needed to be changed out. So I missed a few of you guys here. Let's see if I can get up in here, go back to the questions. And I think they're all gone. That sucks. Come on, YouTube. Oh well. All right. So if you're still tuned in, please re-type your question because I can't see the old questions that were on the stream before. I think somebody did ask about the bar path, and that's where it ended. So if you got any new questions for me, or you have some questions that I didn't answer, please let me know. Sorry about that. These GoPro batteries only last like an hour, so that sucks. Mike M, I appreciate it. Let's see, how many times a week do I bench? Specific routine. I bench heavy on Mondays. I take Tuesday off. Wednesday I will do squats, typically heavy, but right now in meet prep, definitely not heavy for bench only. Thursdays is my lighter bench day, and then I'll do deadlifts on Fridays, rest 3 days of the week. Deload every 4th week. So basically twice a week benching. How often should I overhead bar press? That is based on personal preference. I have a lot of my clients, online coaching clients, and even my program, I have them barbell pressing or dumbbell pressing overhead once a week. I personally, because of my customization, I don't do any overhead pressing movements at the moment. Not that there's not some carryover, but I don't find it there to be a tremendous carryover in my specific bench. But healthy shoulders are definitely a must. So that is one way. Heavy overhead press, or overhead press in general, is a good way to get your shoulder health up. Biggest inspiration in and out of powerlifting? My wife, hands down. It has nothing to do with sports, has nothing to do with athletic abilities. It's completely based on character. And that is what motivates me. That's what gets me in and out of the gym. That's what keeps me going support-wise and everything else. But as far as like powerlifting, who do I look up to the most? I mean, there's a lot. If I had to name one person, you twist my arm and say, mention one person, Ed Cohen. I think he's by far the most down-to-earth person that's achieved the most and still is giving back to the sport. Speed reps, what's the importance in the amount of weight versus speed reps? You want your speed reps to be fast enough that they're speed, but you don't want them so easy that they're just not working you at all. So it really depends on what your sorry, I was distracted. Miss Swimhack walked by in her workout attire. I may have to accidentally lose the battery power again. Happy wife, happy life. Happy Swimhack. Something back. I don't know. I'm corny. Is it more important to rep a heavier weight as fast as you can or a lighter weight faster? Depends. I mean, that's a hard question to ask. For me personally, every single rep is always the same speed. Even though it's not technically the same speed on video or when you're perceiving it, it's the intent. You want every rep you don't want to ever slow down on a rep. You want to freaking race to the end, but you want to do it controlled. That's the compensatory acceleration training at its finest. That's what it is. Speed reps is just focusing on the speed versus focusing on heavier weight. Access to a bench and a power rack, what would you do for accessories? I would do bench dips where I'm working my triceps. I would do, let's see, well, I'm assuming, and I'm just going bare bones, I don't have bands, I don't have any way to do triceps, so I would do close grip push-ups, I would do wide grip push-ups, I would do pull-ups, I would do dead press with, or dead press, pin press, isometric presses. Let's see, what else can we do in there? Drawing a blank, but those are some good start. That's a good start, by the way. Recommend using for weighted dips to increase bench. I do them after my heavy bench sets because I want my specificity in bench training is bench. I want to use a lot of my energy that I have for that bench set. Everything else is accessory work, and that's the extra energy. So weighted dips I typically do after my main sets. Frequency, once a week on those. Volume is normally 3 sets of 5 to 3 sets of 12, so depending on the time of the season. Right now, it's definitely lower reps. Preferred way of setting up websites in your work. Do you react to Angular? Well, I do PHP as a back end. I do HTML5 and CSS3 as my front end. I definitely use some JavaScript here and there, a jQuery. It really just depends on what the website needs, but I do a lot of mine just by hand with Dreamweaver. I hand code everything. I build so many websites that if somebody says, hey, I like this one, I can go to that particular site, pull out the kind of skeleton, the template, if you will, and kind of create from that point, so I'm not having to reinvent the wheel. But for the most part, I don't do any WordPress or anything like that. In fact, I freaking hate WordPress because it's like a freaking iceberg. All this coding, because it's one size fits all kind of thing for this little website, and to me, it's just aggravating to try to make a change when it should just be very easy. A lot of the times it ends up being very complicated. Now, I know those diehard WordPress fans out there are going to hate me for that, but it's what works for me. What makes me money. I can go in there in 5 seconds, make a change. So I try to stay away from the WordPress stuff. That one size fits all templated stuff. Plus, they all look the same. I mean, I know you can get customized templates, you can customize them, but I'd rather just do it by hand. I'm that type of person. Friend of mine just hit 500 raw, working on 405, hopefully by July. Tricep tip moving forward. Definitely work your triceps with tricep rope, weighted dips, close grip push-ups, close grip bench, lockouts, pin presses, things like that. Well, I think I just answered that question for you as well, Andy. How hard is it hard to stay at 275 pounds body weight? And I'm actually not at 275 right now. I'm 290. How many meals a day do I eat? I typically eat 3 meals a day, and I do throw a little bit of junk food in there. And I say junk food because it's not something that I would do 100% of my diet with, but I do eat French fries, I do eat burgers, I do eat greasy barbecue, potato chips, cookies, candies, things like that. But those aren't my main sources of calories. Those are just my snacks. I tend to eat, a lot of Mexican food, fajitas, chickens, beef, things like that. And it's not real hard to stay at that weight if you're eating a lot. It's not difficult. Plus, a lot of my body weight is muscular, so it's already. I need the calories to be able to stay. Or I need the calories in order to stay at my weight, but I'm already wanting more calories because I'm hungry all the time. So it helps out. Have I heard of Larry Wheels? Larry Wheels. Is that the guy? Isn't he like the founder of Ford or Chevy? I'm kidding. Yes, I've heard of Larry Wheels. He's like a social media freaking guru. He's got all these followers. Strong guy too. He's a decent bench presser. 3 times squat, 2 times bench, 1 linear. Well, good luck, man. And no, I've never really considered sumo deadlifts. I do train them on the off season, in between my regular deadlifts, just to work a different angle. Cambodian powerlifter. Yeah, I would say, just as an easy fix, an easy answer to your question, I would definitely work on fixing it first. But you can still bench. I wouldn't go super heavy because you may exacerbate the problem. yes, bench press without leg drive, that's a good thing to do. It definitely will work on your stabilizers. Good alternative for dips. Well, dips are going to hit your pecs. They're definitely going to hit your shoulder areas and your traps. They shouldn't be the movers. Are definitely going to be hit. So an alternative for those would be anything tricep related: skull crushers, monastery extensions, tricep rope, close grip push-ups, things like that. Close grip bench. Ever use bands? Yes, yes, yes. I've used bands, chains, and bamboo bar. Definitely have their benefits. You'll see me from time to time using some of those, not necessarily all the time. Bamboo bar is great for stabilizers. It will definitely humble you. You do not need a lot of weight on that bar, especially if you've got kettlebells and bands set up. It will throw you off. Brian Allshrew, no, I've not. Okay, so Morris Gamer, you said that I knew someone who benched 700 natural. Who? Well, so James, I don't know James Henderson, but he claims that he was natural when he did 700. Now, albeit I think it was a touch and go bench, it was still 700. So James Henderson, you've got Julius Maddox, who is 716, and so those two people right there. Let's see. I'm 6'7", weigh 220. What weight would be my strongest? Would be my strongest, and what weight should I bulk up to? That's up to you. That's completely up to you, because I don't know what your structure is. I don't know if you're real lanky and you need more weight. It really just depends on you. I mean, 6'7", 220. Just thinking that, okay, when I was 220 and I was 6'1", how big was I? Now, stretching that out to be 6'7", an extra 6 inches, I would say the equivalent, roughly, and don't hold me to this, would probably be my 220 and your 220, I would say 240-ish. So, maybe add 20 pounds to your expectations. It would be a good start, but that's just a guess, completely uneducated. I'm not sure. I've seen some guys that are pretty, I guess, lanky, without not being, disrespectful, but being taller, but skinnier, being lanky, and still being able to move a lot of weight. So you don't necessarily have to be bulky to be strong or move a lot of weight. Appreciate it, Hash Slinging Slanger. Appreciate you tuning in and subscribing. Stay tuned. Let's see. Was my 300 kilogram bench the fastest in history? I have no idea. I would love to say it was. I don't know. That'd be a cool feat, but it's not official. It wasn't timed. It wasn't clocked in any way, so it doesn't matter. Founder of Ford or Chevy? How would someone know if they should widen or narrow their grip? Good question. If you feel uncomfortable with your grip, then start playing with it a little bit. Move it in or out, half an inch at a time, over the course of a month, let's say. Don't just all of a sudden go wide. It's not going to feel right. You're going to have weaknesses that are exposed by changing your grip one way or the other. Just because you have weaknesses doesn't mean they're long-lasting weaknesses. It just means you've exposed them, and now you have to strengthen them. If you find that by strengthening your back a little more, your wider grip is actually better for you and safer, then fine, do it. You're going to find, though, when you go closer, that your triceps are now exposed. And if they're not strong, you're going to feel like the bench is weaker. It'll take you some time, a month, 4 or 5 different workouts minimum, maybe more, before you know, does this feel strange for real, or is it just because I'm doing it the first few times? How did I approach bench press training when I at 215 to 315, 225 to 315 compared to 500? What's the most? It was all the same. Literally until I got to about 600, I trained the exact same way. Standard linear progression, progressive overload. Basically, I would just do something similar to like just adding 5 to 10 pounds a week. And it worked for several years. And I just kept getting better and better and better. And I was still an amateur in my mind, even at a 550 bench. I didn't know how to set up properly. I didn't know how to leg drive. All that stuff. I just went off a complete brute strength. And when I started implementing the right techniques, exposing weaknesses the right way and working the weaknesses, everything just freaking went up exponentially. Of course, it looks like, you think, okay, I added 400 pounds to my bench in a few years. Why haven't I added 400 in another few years? Well, now we're at a level that you just don't add 400 pounds. Adding 20 or 30 pounds is amazing, but I had 40 and I'm still on the top of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. So there's no surefire way to do it. Some people can use block periodization or some conjugate method. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. If you stick to something long enough, you're going to see results, and you'll find out if you can do it long term or longer term. When you start kind of plateauing, you may need to change it up a little bit. And the most important lessons that I've learned to become an elite lifter: stay injury free as long as you possibly can. Don't get an injury. They only set you back. You don't want to be set back. And recovery. People do not understand the importance of recovery. I don't understand this bullshit hardcore lifter mentality where you go in, you kill yourself, and then you go drinking at night, and then you come back in the next day and you kill yourself again. You might look hardcore, but when you go to the platform and you don't put up the numbers that you're expecting to put up, and people are wondering why you keep talking shit about doing a 500 bench when you're only doing 450, and you've been talking about doing a 500 bench for the longest time, and you can do it touch and go in the gym, but when it comes time to putting it up in an actual meet, you can't do it, and it's because you're not recovering, or because you're working out too hard all the time, you're overtraining yourself, then you can't perform if you're not recovering. So recovery, staying injury free, and those both go hand in hand. Best rep range for bench progression, once again, really depends. In the early on, like when you're not going heavy, more reps. That makes sense, obviously, because the heavier you get, the less reps you'll be able to do. But think of your training as a pyramid. You want to do more reps in the beginning of your training cycle. When I say training cycle, I'm talking about like 12 to 30 weeks, not 6 weeks, not 4 weeks. You're not going to see progress in 4 weeks. So think about it like that. Hey, Connor, get off the couch. You're on a monkey. Get down now. Thank you. Appreciate it, Big Dad Billy. What's your thought on good mornings? Great for back strength. Don't go too heavy on them though, because they will tax you out. But definitely, you can use them as a way to strengthen. As with anything, it's going to backfire on you. There are certain accessories that I need them, and there's certain accessories that I have other people do because they need them specifically, and just a lot of different things. That a lot of people ask, like, why don't I do this? Well, because I don't personally need it. Not everybody needs to do the same thing to get to the same end result. So. Thoughts on Larry Wheels? I think he's got a great company. I bought one of his vehicles. I think because he's the owner of Chevy, right? The CEO of Chevrolet, Larry Wheels. Joking. I think he's in strongman now. I don't know how he's doing. I saw something about him at the LA Fit Expo doing some strongman stuff. Do I think Kirill will break his world record ever? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, because you got 2 other people that are coming up on it, and there's gonna, let's see, does he do well against competition? Maybe if somebody's pressing up against that world record, he's not out in front, and that's where he's comfortable, is being out in front. Now he's not out in front. Maybe he doesn't do so well. Maybe he has an injury. Maybe he just stops powerlifting. There's a lot of things that could happen. Do I think he could break his own record? I would hope so. He didn't look like he struggled too much, but he's also a very strict lifter. I can see that he put a lot of effort into that 738. I don't think to the untrained eye, most people can see that, and they assume that he could do 750 or 760 on that same day. It's just not the case. Just like the way the 661 moved for my own lift last week, people would assume that I could do 683 last week. I bet 683 would be a freaking grinder if I had tried it last week. Doesn't mean it just fly up. You know, but I know how I lift. I know what I look like. But give myself a week rest, it's a whole different issue. So, you know, it's kind of hard to say, especially when I'm talking about another lifter I've never seen really in person lifting. I didn't get your question. It said cut out answering your question. If I missed your question earlier, please retype it. I had to change my battery out on the camera. Groin IT band tightness. Have you ever done rollouts on a foam roller or a PVC pipe? I actually use a PVC pipe. Works wonders. It really gets in there and gets that IT band opened up. You have the best Larry Wills dad jokes. Thanks. Have I ever had... Okay, I can't read that question because I have children in the room. No, I haven't. No, I have not. Have you considered going back to strongman after you reach your powerlifting goals? No, I answered that earlier. Strongman just doesn't interest me. I will tell you right now, it is harder in my mind than powerlifting. But I just don't have the will to want to do it. I mean, I just, if anything, I'd go back to play football. You know, I like it more. What's up, man? Hey, I actually got to the end of the questions. I caught up. So if you have a question, go ahead and put it down. I got like half the viewers that I did before the battery died out. I apologize for that, guys. But it was like an hour into the stream. And here I am another 20 minutes into the stream. So I got some good battery. So anyways, so I'll tell you guys kind of what's going on this next week. We got 683 pounds on the bar. I'm going to be doing it in kilos. What's up, hot stuff? You making your cameo?
No, just trying to get his candy because he's coming.
Oh, nice. So I would be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't a little nervous for it, but that's a good thing. So, got you on camera kind of sneak in here. Hey, are you scared shitless of my meats? Somebody asked.
I hold my breath until you put it down.
You hold your breath? Okay.
Yeah.
Best tricep accessories to I would say not including dips. Tricep rope, monastery extensions, close grip bench, close grip push-ups, lockouts. How long does it take to groin to heal after a squat injury? What should you do to prevent another squat? Well, I mean, it really just depends on what you've been doing. Like if you're bottoming out at the bottom of the squat, what you did to pull it. It could have been something outside the gym. So a lot of things to do to prevent it. Depends on how it happened. But a groin injury, I don't know if I've specifically had I've never had any serious injuries, but it normally takes me a good couple weeks of backing off to start then kind of reassessing the situation and start putting some decent weight on it again, just because I need to heal up, as long as it's not like a tear or anything crazy. Benching 700, I don't understand the question. The meet, hopefully, yeah. Hopefully at the meet I will be. What are your thoughts on Swiss bar bench versus dumbbell bench and coming back from side delt irritation? Well, side delt irritation, coming back from that is healing and making sure you're good before you actually start. Thoughts on Swiss bar bench? I think it's a great variation. Change up the grip, especially if you're doing like a conjugate method. It's a way to still be able to do your bench, but not having the same movement. Kind of change it up, not get bored. Versus dumbbell bench, I mean, dumbbell bench, you're definitely going to isolate you're going to isolate each side, so you're not able to support the other side with the barbell. I don't think you can't compare the two. Grip wise you can, but other than that, you got two different things. How am I treating your lower body training right now? Basically my squats are sitting at 405 for 2 sets of that. I do some leg press, I do some walking lunges, just keeping the legs in the game. Nothing serious at all. I don't even hardly break a sweat. I don't even like wear a belt, anything. So just keeping the legs in there, and then deadlifts, it's like 505 for the same thing. Do some hammies, some leg curls, things like that. Knees are always caving in on your squats. Weak adductors or weak quads. I would go with weak adductors more, but you also, I don't know if you're pushing out on your squat. You can shoot me a video. And in fact, if anybody has questions, I'll say it again. Shoot me a video or shoot me your specific questions if you have anything that you want to detail out, especially if it's something I need to see. Send me an email, swimhack@gmail.com, or shoot me a link, to wherever the video is at, or Instagram. Shoot me a DM over there at Swimhack. At Swimhack is my username, same as my YouTube. Definitely, when you're coming up out of your squat, you want to be pushing your knees outward, especially if they're wanting to cave in. You're going to want to counteract that. You want to physically make sure that you're pushing against what your body's trying to do, because it could just be that you're just needing to strengthen that up. One thing that also helps with that strengthening is to double up a band and do some banded leg pull aparts, like sitting, and just use your knees to try to pull that band apart for maybe 3 sets of 20 every single day before you work out is a good way to do it, because it's not that heavy and it's enough to strengthen those muscles. How long would it take someone to go from 135 to 225 bench press? Once again, it really depends. Body weight, age, how long you've been lifting, what you're used to. It could vary. It could be 2 months. It could be 3 years. I have a general outline of my diet. Yeah, I wake up, I eat 2 Jimmy Dean sausage sandwiches, about 8.5 ounces of some sort of like fruit juice. I will snack throughout the day, various snacks, whole sleeve of Ritz crackers, a block of cheese, cookies, could be just ranch chips. But then I normally have a pretty big lunch. Lunches consisting normally about 2,500 calories or more, maybe 3,000. Could be all you can eat sushi, could be steak, could be Mexican food, a burger, fries, milkshake. Dinner could be like fajitas, could be steak and potatoes, just a lot of different things. But it's very basic. I eat a lot of restaurant food just because I don't want to cook and clean at the house, so it's easier to do that. I may not know exactly what I'm getting in my food, but that's where the supplements come in. I just take a multivitamin, take all my joint supplements, take everything as far as my greens as well. So it kind of counteracts all that. But I'm eating about 8,500 calories a day. Is benching 405 naturally after a decade possible? Okay, I'm going to split this question up into 2 different ones because I'm not sure what you mean by after a decade. I'm assuming that you're benching, or you're trying to bench 405. You've been trying to do it for a decade, but yes, benching 405, benching all the way up to 700 is doable naturally. But I'm not sure, like, as far as bicep flexor, maybe expand on that. Let me know. It sounds, well, just guessing, you're probably hitting a plateau. Maybe you need to change something up, change the stimulus. I don't know how often you're trying it. I've been asked this question quite a bit, and this is normally at the 315 mark, 405, the 500 mark, is, hey, I'm trying to break this plateau. What do I need to do? And they'll say, hey, I'm trying to break 405, and I'm like, hey, what does your bench day look like? And they're like, every day I work up to about 395, 405, and I try it every day. Well, that's not the way to do it. So that right there is a good surefire way to make sure you're never going to do it, because you're never ever growing your muscles. You're just taxing them out all the time. Let's see. 700 yet. James, what do you do during a meet in between attempts to stay warm for all 3 lifts? Staying warm is not a problem for me, typically, unless it's cold. That's a different thing. But staying warm in just 75-degree room, I just sit down, because it's normally 10-15 minutes, and that's fine for me, because I need time in between those heavy-ass sets or heavy reps to rest. And so 15-20 minutes is not a long time for me, is not a long time for me, because I don't get cold in that amount of time. Now, if I start feeling like I'm getting cold, I normally just stand up, do some arm circles, maybe some stretch bands, move around just a little bit. Doesn't take a lot. A lot of it's just the mental waiting around, and I put headphones on so I'm not thinking about the time too much. It goes by really fast. Joe Hogan. So you think it's funny 700 bench naturally? Okay, I guess I won't sell you on that then. We'll just agree to disagree. But I'm pretty sure that you can't argue with Julius Maddox that he's not natural. But go ahead. I get shoulder pain on close grip. That goes away with wide grip. Any clue why? You're probably too close. And sometimes close grip isn't necessarily a better thing. Like that's, once again, just because I can get a lot out of close grip. I mean, my close grip, because I have wide shoulders, is really not that close compared to where my shoulders are. But most people's shoulders, if they're not broad, if their close grip is too close, then they're actually impinging their shoulders as they bench. So that could be exactly why. Feeling a little pain and tightness in armpit from bench. Any ideas to relieve this? Sounds like maybe your pec minor could be pulling a little bit. I don't know. To relieve it, you don't want to do whatever you're doing. That's a tough question because I don't know what's causing it. I'm just telling you what I think it is. But I appreciate the support, man. No one has ever benched 700 natty. Well, I just told you. Julius Maddox, irregular strength. Check him out. Go ahead and ask him. I'm sure he'd be willing to provide you a test. I don't care if he has or not. It's not an argument of whether or not you can or you can't. Even if you could bench press 500 natural, let's just make it a stupid argument. Who the fuck cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the whole argument about, yes, do steroids enhance you? Yes, absolutely. Nobody's arguing that. But you can't go ahead and just discount somebody's lift if they're natural or not natural because of that. So we'll just agree to disagree on that. I mean, whatever. Is Larry natty? Why would he be natty? He's already said he's not. And I'm pretty sure everybody on the planet follows Larry. He's a freaking, god to most people. He benched 2.36 is body weight. Okay, are y'all arguing with each other? Thanks, Bear. Appreciate it. I think the limit for natty bench is probably 500. That's the entire elite of the elite. Okay, Joe, once again, you can disagree with me. That's fine. I have my own proof. Now, you can say it's fake. You can say I doctored it, whatever. When I did 590 pounds at the APF Raw Nationals in 2015, 16.
Turn that off.
My test level without, and this is never in my life, what's up? Never in my life have taken any sort of enhancement ever, did 589. If you want to believe it, fine. If you don't, I don't give a crap. You can argue or not.
Seriously?
Yeah, I got somebody arguing about saying that. Now, am I natural now? Can I claim that? Absolutely not. I can't. I've never said that. I've never been able to say that since that date, and I don't claim that. But don't try to discount anything that I do or anything that anybody else does because of any type of enhancements. In fact, I'm starting to get to the point to where my opinion on the matter has always been health related. I've always been, hey, be careful with that. Don't get into something that you don't know what it is. Don't do the bro science crap. Go get a doctor. And I'm actually starting to lean more towards, obviously keeping all that in mind, but if you're at the point where you're benching 650 and you want to go for something crazy, you're a grown-ass man. If you want to take something, go take it. Who the fuck cares if somebody says it's cheating or not? Like, you're doing your own thing. It's not like you're competing in a sport where you're being tested and saying that you're natural. If you're not being tested, then nobody should even question or even care if you're taking stuff or not. Now, the thing that I also agree with most people, argument on that. And it's funny how we keep coming back to the same drug topic, and it's not even about what the whole question and answer thing is, but it's what everybody wants to hear. So that's what everyone wants to talk about. If you say to a kid who's 18 years old who's trying to get a 315 bench that steroids are the way, then you're a piece of shit. Sorry. If you're that guy that's giving steroid advice to a kid, that's not a grown man who's, I would say 25, because I don't give a shit if you're 18 or not. If you haven't gone through some lifting experience, then you have no business taking steroids, because you're ignorant about it. You're stupid doing that, because that's not what they're made for. Now, is it right for somebody who is at a top level that's taking 4 grams of some crap to say that they're natural? No, it's not all right. But here's 2 things. Here's 2 reasons why somebody would do that. And I'm not justifying it for anybody. First of all, it's illegal. So why the hell would somebody admit it in public? That's freaking illegal. Either or not, they can't do it or not, but it's illegal. People have lives that they want to live. They don't want to be arrested for something. The other thing is, if they're not taking something, there's nothing they can do to convince people that they're not. Even if they take a test, even if they piss in a cup in front of that person, they're going to say, well, you injected some sort of bladder piss inside you and it's somebody else's piss. There's no winning the argument. So they just stay quiet about it. That's the thing. Now, if it gets likes and trolls and people to comment about it, and it gets attention, then I can understand why some lifters are like, yeah, I'll talk about it. I'll do it. I'll do whatever I need to do. But I don't think it discounts, like, if Larry's not natural, which obviously he's not. You're laughing. So did that change my opinion of him? No. He's still a freaking strong guy. Like, he's young. I think he's too young, but he's a grown man. I mean, he's over 20 when he's doing this. Is it his right? Sure. Does he claim that he's not? No. So why is everybody getting on his ass about it? Now, if you're lying straight out and you're taking stuff, which I think that's wrong, because people have an unrealistic expectation of what they could achieve naturally. And I get that question. I understand that question. I've never asked that question to anybody, but if I asked a question and said, hey, I'm new to the sport of golf, do I need these shoes to be able to play like you? And I really do, but they tell me I don't, I would be upset about that. So if you wanted to bench 600 and the only way to do it was on drugs, and somebody told you that was not the case, I could very much understand and relate why you would be mad about that. But I'm here to tell you, so I can say without a shadow of doubt, it is definitely possible 100% to bench 600, 590 raw at 270 pound body weight, maybe 15% body fat, at 36 years old, not 26, 36 years old. Is it possible? Yes. Believe it or not, whatever. But I can say that. Now, can I say is without a shadow of a doubt that Julius is natural? I can't say that. But why would I not believe him if he told me this? Now, I'm not being naive, but he's also a freaking big guy. Why would it be so surprising for him to not be able to be natural and be able to do that? Now, if I said I'm 220 pounds and I bench 800 natty, I can see that's pretty far-fetched. But the 700 barrier, the 600 barrier is not what it used to be. It's not the same thing. People are getting stronger without the drugs. You don't even take that out of the equation. I think there's just a lot of people that have a lot of misconstrued ideas of what it is really to be strong, and everybody just chalks it up to steroids. So it is what it is. How do I recommend somebody starting off again after a year gap? Start slow. There's no rush ever with anything. There's no rush. How often should I compete? So non-competitor. I can't. Now, I can say with experience, what I would prefer to see people doing is probably once every 3 months maximum. I used to do it, not a true 1 rep max, because you can't test a 1 rep max truly after 4 weeks of work. But I used to do that when I started out, but I was getting newbie gains, so I saw progress. Now, if I tried my 1 rep max every 4 weeks, I'd be injured all the time. It just wouldn't happen. If I tried my 1 rep max every three months, it wouldn't happen. You wouldn't see the same numbers. That's why you've seen me training for 20 freaking weeks to be able to put up 661. I only put up 622 at Boss of Bosses after a squat and a deadlift, but at my meet last year was 672. My fastest ever bench that was even close to this speed was like 30 pounds less. So progress is made over long periods of time, not short periods of time. When do you think wrist wraps are necessary? When you have the capability of losing stability because of your wrist. Your wrist can't get stronger necessarily. I mean, you can't just sit there and bulk up your wrist. Your forearms and your forearms is pretty much where the muscle stops. From that point forward, you're pretty much based on your genetics and what your grip is. So when you put a wrist wrap on, you're providing some support there, lateral support mostly, to keep everything tight. But I started using wrist wraps probably when I was mid 500s or so. Hey, can you turn that down? Thank you. I have not decided what my next goal after 700 is. I don't have one yet. I'm sure it's something to do with American record 723 or 738, you know. Yes, I believe there will be an 800 bench. I believe you're going to see an influx of 700-pound benchers in the next 10 years or so, because once you've broken it a few times, it becomes more realistic for people. It becomes easier for them to swallow and do, just like the 4-minute mile. Let's see, Harry, been following your channel for 3 months. Thank you, by the way. 82 kilograms for 3 months. I'm tried dead stop bench, main close grip, weighted dips, etc. Stall. All right, Harry, if you're still on here, I need a little bit more information from you. It's probably a little bit more than to do on a live. Please shoot me an email, swimhack@gmail.com, or a DM on Instagram @swimhack. I'll be glad to help you out. How much bigger are my arms since I first started benching? LOL. I mean, I think they were probably 18s and they're maybe 21s now. It's not like they're... My upper arm is not larger. My forearms are definitely a lot larger. This message is held for review. I will show that, Nikki. Exactly. Who gives a fuck? Julia, do you think he has plans to hit a certain number and drop weight, or just pushing far? Julius and I are pretty good friends. We talk a lot, either message or phone. We definitely, anytime we get together, we'll be lifting together in the cage this year. By the way, I'll be in there. I'm not sure what date it is, but it's on the Saturday when the Arnold's going on. We'll be in the same hour time slot benching. Hopefully we can call it the 700 hour. I got to be able to do 700 first. But I know he's been at 420 to 440 a lot of his lifting career, and he was wanting to drop down. He actually did for a while, but I think he realized that when he drops down, his strength drops down, and that's something that he wanted to go ahead and nail the 700, and as far as he can go, as long as he's staying healthy, I think that's fine. But I think ultimately he does, he wants to lose the weight, but I don't blame him for wanting to go ahead and nail some records first and then start dropping the weight. So I think that's pretty much what he's going to do. So Julius, I'm not quite sure. I think he's early 30s. That's odd that I don't even know that. I'm sure I know that. It just on the tip of my tongue. Favorite hobby besides training? Well, swimming's a good one, but that's kind of all I have right now, honestly. Swimming events like 100s to 200s are fast twitch, slow twitch, dominant. 100s and 200s are kind of medium. 50s and 100s are fast twitch for sure. 200s, you're starting to get into that kind of that middle distance. You act so calm compared to how people would judge you as. All right. How much protein do you need for a stronger bench? Really just depends. I mean, if you're eating enough, yeah, talking about number of grams per day. I mean, I'm no nutritionist. I would start with 1 gram per pound of body weight and go up from there. You'll know when you're getting results, and then you'll also know when you're getting results in the toilet if you're using too much protein. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. How tall are you? 6'1". I'm sorry, I was reading the next question. Time frame of the progression of my bench press. Yes, let's see. Got it right here, because I get asked this quite a bit. In fact, well, it's going to be backwards if I show you guys. So in my gym lifts, so I've got it separated out into gym lifts. 2005, I was benching 300 at 180 pounds body weight. 2008, I was benching 405. It says 3 years later. 2009, 455. 2010, I believe, or maybe it might have been 11. 2011, I was benching 500. So that's 6 years from 300. Yeah, that's about right. Then I did 525. Let's see. Oh no, March of 2010, I was at 500. March of 2011, I was at 525. 2012, later that year, I went from 530 to 575 very, very shortly, within a few months, actually. That was just a huge year for me, really. That was kind of, I was doing strongman beginning of the year, and then boom, I got into powerlifting, started, well, not powerlifting training, if you will. End of 2012, I tried 605 in the gym, touch and go. I actually got that on YouTube. But in 2014 is when I did my first meet. I did 474. So that was obviously a little lower than 605 in the gym. 2015 was at 556. 1 month later, I went 578. 3 months later, I went 585. That was 4 months later, 11 of 2015, 585. January of 2016 went 590. And that was the end of my natty career. TRT started after that. 11 months later, went 612 at body weight of 273. 1 month later, I went 633. 7 months later, 7 of 2017, went 661 at 266 body weight. And then about, 7-8 months later, went 672 at 292, wearing shoes, being fully clothed, and having 2 meals in me. So obviously I didn't care about weigh-ins. So I was probably like 285, but I wasn't going for Wilks. I didn't care. That was February of last year. And then, yeah, so that's basically my full bench progression there. Jennifer Thompson said at an AMA she believes that everyone should try to widen their bench grip as much as possible for maximum bench strength. Thoughts? Everybody's got their different techniques, their different methods. I would disagree with that based on the fact that injury prevention is done with a closer grip, but more engagement with muscle groups is done with a wider grip. So I can see where her statement is coming from, and I would say as a wider, let me use a different word, as a more covering more lifters in a blanket statement. Yes, wider grip is probably going to give more people a better progress on their bench. Closer grip is definitely one of those things where you have to be able to understand that there's going to be some drawbacks to it, at least in the beginning, and you may not even benefit from it. It benefits me. I'm an anomaly with it. Just like reverse grip could work for some, it's not going to work for most. So with that said, wider grip will also help you with your range of motion. If you're going to get a pretty high arch and you're going to want to decrease your range of motion, wider grip is going to help you with that. And if you're going for more of a technical lift, that's probably your go-to. yes, I do use drive. And yes, I tuck my shoulders back. I basically just retract my scapula. I'll just kind of show you guys here what I do when I set up on the bench. When my legs are on the bench, I basically do that and put my shoulders down, and I don't let it move throughout the whole lift. That's how I retract my scapula. I keep it tight, and it does not move willingly, anyways, through the entire lift until I re-rack it. Best overhead press is like 455 to 465 for 2. Never done it for 1. Never tried it. I'm sure it's over 500, on a good day. Height. I don't think there's any limiting factor for anything, honestly. I think there are, like when people say, being tall is bad for bench press. Well, here's my argument to that. Yes, you have less range of motion, but you also have more room or more distance to store elastic energy. The more your arms come down with the weight, the more you're able to load. It's like a spring. The bigger the spring, the bigger the explosion. Now, yes, it will have to move a further distance, but if you can have a stronger spring, a shorter spring is not necessarily going to give you more bang for your buck. So it's really how you utilize it. When do you know is the right time to add more weight to the bench after hitting your max? I'm assuming I'm going to answer this question in terms of, let's say I've been training for 3 or 4 months. I finally hit 405 on bench. When do I want to add more weight to that? What I like to do, and this is how I train most of my clients, is we will then back off. No reason to stay at 405 or even close to that. Hey, kids fighting. So what I'll do is I'll go back down to like 315 for some reps, and then 320 for some reps, and then 330 for some reps. And then as we get heavier, the reps will decrease, obviously, but you're now starting on another level. You're starting on another base. And that normally gives you another 3 months or so to train to then do 415, 420, 430, or whatever as your next 1 rep max attempt. The power of close grip benching. Tucking on the bench when your head comes off the bench, is that due to lack of mobility or what? No. Tucking on the bench, when you're talking about when your head comes up, I think that is literally due to the fact that it's easier to let your head move naturally than to hold it down. When your shoulders rotate, when the bench bar comes down, naturally your neck wants to rise with it. If you were to fight it, you'd have to basically use energy to keep your head down on the bench. Why waste that energy? Just let your head do what it wants to do. It's not taking away from the lift. Now, if it's in an IPF meet or a federation that doesn't allow it, obviously you got to train against that. You got to learn to not move your head. But if you're in a federation that allows it, then don't care about it. It's not a weakness. It's not a mobility issue. It's not a problem. Sometimes my head comes up. Sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on the lift in its. If I'm tight in the shoulders or I'm really, really into a lift, I'll really just. But I've been known to also keep my head flat on the bench too. I don't think it affects the lift at all. Best range for strength, 5 to 8. If I had to just say one, really just depends on training though. No, I do not believe increasing your overhead press has really a significant impact on bench. No. I think it's important for shoulder health. Shoulder health is important for bench, but as far as a direct carryover, no, I don't think so. Do I have a forearm moment on your bench? Keep your forearms vertical. Do they lean inward a bit? No, man. Ask all the questions you got. That's what I'm here for. I don't care how many questions you ask. I do keep my forearms fairly vertical, and of course that's basically because of the range of motion, because of my setup, because of my anatomy. I don't have any kind of lean on them. Hell yeah, I'm hungry for that 700. That's all I freaking think about. I'm dreaming about it at night. I actually dreamed that I missed it last night, which that's fine. I mean, I have dreams about missing all sorts of shit. It just makes me that much more anxious to do it. Yay! I got to the end of the questions. Oh, I got one. All right. Is deadlifting going to increase your bench press? No, it's not. Not saying you can't benefit from deadlifting, but as far as it increasing your bench press, I don't see it unless you have some serious issues with leg drive and you're just not strong, and deadlifting helps you to engage your legs more or your core more. If all that stuff is already in place, deadlifting is not really going to have a direct effect. Yes, I do take I take collagen as my inner workout. That's great for joints. I take Flex, Animal Flex, which is glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, and hyaluronic acid. Very, very good for joints. My max deadlift right now is 771. Yes, I do take Animal Pack vitamins, which includes everything. It's just a multivitamin. Max bench touch and go. It's been so long since I've done touch and go. I don't really, I don't know. And I think what it was is just a missed rep on a training lift. But my max touch and go is less than my paused right now. That's for sure. Max pause is 675. I am 6'1". Any reason why I'm able to squat more than I deadlift? I believe my deadlift. No. Honestly, it's okay if you deadlift more than you squat more than you deadlift, vice versa. How do you find your optimum bench grip? The best way to do it is to, what's up, Manuel? Appreciate you tuning in. Is to drop down into push-up position, and just wherever your hands land, that's probably your natural, where you want to be. Now, where you should be might be slightly off. Test from that point going out or going in and try it from there. There's really no right or wrong answer. It's all personal preference and what your leverages are, what you're going for. If you're going for range of motion, strength, all sorts of stuff. I can't read that question, Mr. Bicep Flexor, because I have children in the room. But I have no issues in that department. Wife is wonderful. We have a wonderful relationship. Have for many, many years. Has nothing to do with my bench, my performance in or out of the gym, has no bearing on one another. Yeah. Adam Log. No disrespect to Eric. I don't take any direct inspiration from Eric Spoto or Kirill. Honestly, it's hard for me to get inspiration. I get it outside the gym. Because I've always been a pretty elite level athlete of some sort, and it's no disrespect to any other athletes, I just see behind the curtain. I know what it takes, hard work. I know and I respect them, but I don't look up to them in terms of, man, I wish that could be me. I just go, okay, that's the next person I'm taking down. It's not disrespectful. It's not even an ego thing. So it's hard to say inspirational. But as far as has it affected my career? Absolutely. I do Spoto presses. I do a lot of things that they do. I've watched videos from them in the past. Well, Kirill not so much because he's kind of current with me. But Spoto, I watched a lot of videos before. And it's always been, if I can get a chance to actually test it, to do 600 for 6, has always been kind of a cool thing I want to do. My wingspan is, I think it's 74 inches. If one training, strength, bench, don't want to compete in powerlifting, what should you pause rep, touch or go? Pause reps are always going to be better because you're going to get more out of each rep. You just got to do more out of each rep for sure. How important is warming up with stretching? Warming up is more important than anything else. Stretching is good for releasing the tension in the muscles, good for getting some blood flow. I do it after, and I normally do it the next day. I don't even do it after my bench sessions or even that. I make sure that I kind of just warm down properly. Please tell my wife, big guys like us eat a lot. She's here too. Well, yeah, we eat a lot. Of course we do. I assume we're talking about food. Still keeping it PG. Got 3 kids in the house. When you hit 700 pounds on bench, do you want to go higher? Sorry for the bad English. That's actually pretty decent English. Not perfect, but pretty decent. I don't know. I want to say yes. It's really going to depend on if I can find the motivation to keep moving forward. We'll see. You know, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes. I'm leaning towards yes, obviously.
Kayla, want that stuff upstairs now.
How often to bench press to increase bench by 50 to 70 pounds in a few months? I would say a good start is two times a week. I don't really have an opinion on sumo versus conventional. Not really. I do conventional. I think it just looks a little more badass. If benching twice a week, would you go 2 heavy days or 1 heavy day and 1 light? I would go 1 heavy, 1 light because you're going to get the recovery. And recovery to me is really, really important. You still work Josh Bryant? Yes, I do. Josh and I are good friends. We talk quite a bit, obviously every week. Trusting the plan, working together really well. I've heard some say white guys aren't strong. Why do you think there's so much hate against white guys today? I don't know if there's a lot of hate towards white guys today. I don't have an opinion on that. That's kind of funny. Kind of racist, but kind of funny. Whatever. If my shoulders are beat up, what's the best way to recover them quickly? I ice my shoulders quite a bit and rest, honestly. Rest, shoulder rotations. What are you laughing at? What are you doing?
They're always on ice. If you're on the couch, you're on ice.
The wife is laughing because I answer the same questions over and over and over and over and over and over. Not that I don't mind answering them, but literally ice for everything, heat for everything, stretching for everything, recovery for everything. I mean, it's the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. But it's real simple. Once you kind of get the concept, it's very, very simple to learn to improve. People make it way too complicated.
What? Where is it? No, let me go pee.
Thoughts on low frequency training? I really don't have any low frequency training thoughts.
I'm just gonna go take a shower.
It's probably good for maintenance.
No, that's a good
All right.
one. Leave it alone.
So I'm going to put a 5-minute time limit on the video.
Alone.
5 minutes and I'm out of here.
Stop.
It's getting about the time for me to go eat dinner, hang out with my family. Definitely want to share my life and my questions with you guys. But above and beyond everything else, my family is more important. My kids' time, my wife's time is more important than anything else. So definitely want to respect that. So let's go with 5 minutes and I'll let my wife tell me when that is.
Your wife's gonna go rinse off.
Oh. My wife is going to go rinse off. Maybe I'll make that a 1 minute time limit and I'll go up with you.
Shut up. I worked out, that's why.
How old am I? I am 38. I'm 30. People ask me that all the time and I'm like, I was born in 1980, so I just have to go with the year. It's really easy to figure out. July of 1980, so. You plan on getting a cameraman for your future YouTube videos? I just don't think I'm that popular yet. I think if I got 1 million followers, maybe I could do that. But at this point, I don't want to be that douchebag with the video guy following me around a commercial gym. But I will be at Dub's Barbell on Wednesday, and he will have his camera guy doing all the footage. So that'll be nice. I'll still set up the GoPro and I'll still have everything like that. But maybe I'll have some extra some angles for you guys. What are the accessories required for your 8-week bench press training program? Basically, there are, well, I don't want to put too much out because I want you to buy it, obviously. But you're going to be working your back, you're going to be working your triceps, your biceps, some overhead press in there. Back has got several different rowing type exercises, your bench. So it's benching twice a week, 1 heavy, 1 light, and your shoulder days, and all the accessories are included. The rest intervals, recommendations are in there, and the reps, the sets, numbers, and all are included as well. And since we mentioned that, let me go ahead and segue into that because I do make a living now selling programs, and I hope these are helping you guys out. Head over to benchonly.com/training to check out. I've actually got a special going on. If you get my 24-week bench program from now until the end of the month or anytime in January, if you've already purchased, I'm putting you in a drawing for 2 live drawing animal pack. I'm gonna do a live drawing on February 1st for 2 animal pack starter kits. It includes like your Flex, your Fury, your pre-workout, your Whey. It's got a shaker cup in there and an animal t-shirt of your choice off their website. So if you get that program, you definitely get a good 6-month bench program. Short of guaranteeing you, because I'm not going to be stupid enough, I don't think any business is going to say guarantee you results. I have not had anybody that I can think of that they definitely haven't messaged me that hasn't had tremendous results from the bench program. It's not rocket science, but I know a lot of you guys just want a solid program with some experience behind it. And of course, I'm always going to be here to answer questions regardless if you buy a program or not. But this program allows you to go into the gym with your phone, PDF version of the program, follow exactly to a T the program and get results from it and get your bench up. Very humbled that it actually is helping so many people, because I was so hesitant to put out a program in the beginning, because I felt like just because I was an elite lifter, that doesn't, and I still hold this true, just because you're good at lifting doesn't mean you're good at coaching or programming. And so it took me a long time to just come to the conclusion that somebody asked me for help and they said, hey, can you just program something for me? I'm desperate. And I'm like, dude, I am not a coach. I don't want to coach anybody. I don't want another job. I don't want this. And they just begged me for it. And I said, fine, I'll do it. And I helped this guy out. His name was Laquan, and probably trained